was at the peak? Did we finally reach the top and now we're just going down the entire time? Was that the pinnacle? Was that as good as it's ever going? Is Barack Obama as good as it's ever going to get?
I really hope not. All right, welcome back to Mildly Alarmed. I'm one of your hosts, Nina Likes, here with my co-host Justin Bullock. And look, we've done a couple of episodes now talking about technology, social media, the state of the world. But today we're going to go in a little bit of a different direction. We're going personal. We're talking about what we wanted to be when we grew up, what we thought America was supposed to be, and then what actually happened. But first, what's going on this week? How was your week, Justin? What'd you get
Oh
up to?
man, I've had a great one. I finally got to ride in a race car. Kind of piggybacking off of what we wanted to be when we grew up. One of those things was a race car driver. Have daydreamed about driving a race car my entire life, but I've never actually been in a race car and had no clue what it was like, felt like, what that experience was. So my sister got me a NASCAR experience ride along for Christmas. And yesterday went to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and tried that out. And gosh, that was incredible. Everything I thought I knew about racing a car was completely wrong. The I got out of the car and I was like, I do not know. I went 3 laps, maybe 4. I don't know. It happened so quick. But it was one of those things. I get out of the car and the guy was like, "How was it?" And I was like, "I mean, it was incredible. I mean, I'm without speech. It took the words right out of my mouth." But the one thing that I thought was like, I do not know how these drivers do that for as long as they do. Like the Charlotte Motor Speedway, for example, the track that I went around, they do the Coke 600 there, so it's a 600-mile race. It's 400 laps around that thing. And
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing that for as long as they do, just because of the G-force that you feel. I just so much is coming at your mind at one time. Like, it's just all happening so fast. It's corners straight away. And you yourself are being just whipped around inside this seat. And I couldn't really like move my head. They had the Hans device on and everything. So like my head just would not turn. But my head is like bouncing along in like the little seat rest thing. So he'd go into the corner and be like, my head would go this way in the corner and you're trying to go out the window, and then he'd hit the straightaway and your head would shoot back this way. And I mean, it was an incredible experience. Super happy I got to do it. Would love to get it for you. I think you need to do it next.
It
I
looked
think you
really
need to
cool.
experience that, but super awesome. Can't thank my sister enough. Thank you for going with me. Thanks to NASCAR Experience for everything. It was really good. The driver was super cool. It was funny. He hit the best like comedic timing. I think is I got in the car and he was like, so what brings you out today? And I was like, well, man, I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to ride in a race car. Always wanted to experience this. I said this closest I've ever come to it is doing iRacing, which is like an online simulator. And he was like, he literally fired up the car and he's like, well, I'm about to show you iRacing ain't shit. And then like dropped us into gear and took off. And I was just like, and he was right. He was absolutely right. Sitting here on the sim with this little steering wheel and doing it is nothing in comparison to driving an actual race car. I didn't get to drive. I do think that I used to want to drive one, used to want to do that experience, but now that I've done the ride along thing, I think that's the better buy because
Yeah.
it's not as expensive as driving yourself. But if you drove yourself, you're not going to go, your brain isn't going to allow you to do what that guy did. It's going to tell you the whole time, like, you're going way too fast and you need to slow down. Whereas, like, the driver, if you ride with the driver, he's going to try to kill you because he knows what he's doing. So, yeah, I think it's the better one is to just ride along and not even bother driving yourself. Don't even,
Yeah, I mean, I watched it from the pits and you could tell the difference in speed from the people who were driving themselves around the track, and you. Like, the cars that were out there, I think you got to ride an Austin Cindric's Xfinity
Yes,
car,
I got to
which
ride
was
in a
pretty
Team
cool.
Penske car.
And the other one that was out there was that Coca-Cola car that was being driven by an actual instructor. And those things were flying around the track. And basically using the people who were driving themselves as little obstacles to get around. I mean, it was like hitting lap traffic, if
Yeah.
you're Ryan Blaney and the 66 is coming up. But
Yes, exactly. That's probably what it was like. Even from being in the car, because we came up on a little yellow car, because that's all it was. It was a yellow blur as we went by it, but there was like this little yellow car. I remember it being yellow, and we were coming up on it, and it's really loud in there. Even with the headphones on, the headphones kind of muffled a little bit, but it's really loud in the car, and you can actually hear the throttle response. So we're coming up on it, and he backs out of the throttle, so it goes from like wah 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 wah, wah, it comes out, and then we come up on the thing, and then I think he was just waiting to see which way that dude was going to go, and when he went low, I mean, he smashed the gas, and when the engine went full again, and you just shoot back in the seat, and we flew around that dude like he was sitting still. It was pretty awesome.
yeah, I actually wonder what the people who were driving themselves, I wonder what they were thinking when the actual instructors drove past them, because I would be terrified.
Yeah, I think it would scare me if another car went zipping around on my outside like that. I'd be like, "Oh my God, do I need to follow him? Do I need to go that fast?"
Yeah.
But
Well,
it
and
was
I
it was
was
insane.
listening to the one of the people who was running the whole experience talk to the next set of drivers that was coming up after you took off. And he was explaining like how fast they were actually allowed to go and where on the track they were allowed to go. And that, they would be allowed progressively more speed by their instructors if they were doing well and like actually following the rules, but they would not be if they weren't. And it sounded really intimidating. I would rather just get in the car,
Yeah,
fly
yeah.
around
See,
the track,
all of this, like,
and
make sure you're following this line, make sure you're doing this speed. All of that would just
yeah.
be freaking me out. I'd be so psyched out that I almost yesterday all I had to do was just worry about looking cool getting into the car and not botching that. And so yeah, I think I would rather do that is just hop over the pit road like I did, just get in the car. They strapped me in, um, fist bumped the driver, and then he took off and he does his thing, and I'm just sitting there along for the ride, and then we're back on pit road before you know it. That would be I think that's anyone who's considering spending the money, the better way to
Mm,
do it is to ride along.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It was
What
really
about
exciting to see. I'm glad you really got to go. And
yeah.
yes, many thanks to Audra, because that was one of the happiest, maybe the happiest I've ever seen you
Yeah,
in
man.
that helmet, just getting ready to get into
It
that
was
car.
all smiles, man. I think I was smiling the whole way around the racetrack. I don't know that we have video of it. I haven't seen the video, but they did video the thing. Um, so I don't know what I looked like doing it, but I know that when I like got back to pit road, I know I was just all smiles. I
Yeah.
couldn't wipe the grin off my face.
Remember, I sent that photo that I took of you, which I'll put here in post, but I sent it to my mom and your mom, and my mom was like, "He looks like a kid in a candy store. He's so happy."
I know I was ready to go, man. I was ready to go, but yeah, still the big takeaway. Just I've always thought race car drivers are some of the most amazing people out in our world, and having done that again, I only feel that even stronger. That anyone who says those dudes are not athletic or aren't cool because they go around in circles all day long are out of their minds. They need to try that. They need to try that. Put up or shut up, as they say. But yeah, those race car drivers are incredible, incredible, and the most incredible is Ryan Blaney. But
How dare you, sir?
that was
No,
actually
I'm
kind of
kidding.
funny.
Ryan Blaney is maybe one of the most incredible race car drivers I've ever seen. I mean, he drives up through lap traffic multiple times a race usually.
Yeah, big shout out though to the guy who was standing in line, just getting everyone from car to car, who was running the kind of the experience for the fans. Um, he was really funny. He came up to me and he was like, I saw that I had on a Ryan Blaney hoodie, And he was like, "This must be very exciting for you because our driver is about to take you around this track faster than Ryan Blaney could ever imagine." And I was like, "You asshole!" But but he was really funny. And then he wanted me to dump you because you pulled for Denny Hamlin.
Yeah,
He was a
rude.
funny dude.
How
Funny dude.
many did his driver win so far
Right,
this
he was
year?
a
I think
Hendrick guy, and
0.
he was a Hendrick guy, and I was like, "You guys haven't won a race this year." In fact, I told him, I said, "In fact, all the experts keep saying this is it's getting a little alarming for Hendrick Motorsports. How do you feel about that?"
Mhm.
Yeah.
We only
So,
pick winners here at Mildly Alarmed. Here's the part where we spiral a little bit because this week we were going to talk about the state of the world, in particular, the state of these United States, since we are both citizens. Before we
mhm.
do that, let's go back to the beginning. Let's paint the picture. Let's set the stage for the listeners. Uh, let's go back to like elementary, middle school, Justin and Nina.
Hmm.
What did you want to be when you grew up, Justin?
Well, I had a couple of things. I do have a vivid memory of me telling in elementary school that I used to think that being a Ghostbuster was a real job, and I wanted to be a Ghostbuster. That was on for a little bit. I remember for the longest time wanting to be a race car driver. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to drive race cars. Went through a spell of wanting to learn to act, be an actor, but I was a terrible actor, very bad at it. Drama teacher can tell you that. I was really bad at that. But I enjoyed writing and I enjoyed directing and, kind of went to college to do something of that, like being on the radio, be a pit reporter for NASCAR when I realized that the racing thing wasn't working out, but I also wanted to like write and direct films. So I knew I wanted to do something in like media and entertainment. I didn't know which path it would lead. Ultimately, it led to just being a writer. I think out of all of the things, I am the best at that. Um, Out of all the different things that I've tried, that is just the one consistent. So yeah, I've definitely wanted to be like some kind of like entertainer or something like that other than a race car driver. How about yourself?
Let's see. Probably for most of my childhood, I wanted to be a singer. I was very partial to musicals and Whitney Houston and Celine Dion. I would just bop around my room singing. Uh, as I got older, and that seemed like it was probably not a great career path for me, for a lot of reasons, but mainly because it's quite challenging to
Yeah.
make it. You have to really want to do it, and I just really kind of enjoy singing as a hobby. Um, I went through a number of other things, like a marine biologist, a journalist, a politician. Uh, I had a lot of various ideas about what I wanted to be when I grew up. Um, I think the interesting part of being a kid, and maybe particularly being a kid in America, is that we kind of believed at that time that all possibilities
Could
were,
do anything we wanted.
yeah, they were all out there. We could, growing up as millennials, I think we were very much kind of told like, you pick a thing,
Hmm.
you work really hard to go in that direction, to be that thing, and eventually you'll
It just
get
works.
it.
It just
Everything's
happens.
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I was told
you'll
that.
just get there eventually.
Did you have to
Um,
take like a test? I had to take like a test of um kind of like what you want to be when you grow up in like middle school, and then it kind of says like you're good at these things, you're good at these things, you're not good at these things, and it kind of sets you on this trajectory. Like I remember having to take that, and I think it came out like because I was terrible at math, because I was basically bad at everything. It did come out that I needed to focus on more of like an arts type of creative space degree type of
hmm,
thing. Translation useless person, is what I think it was trying to tell me.
I
But
don't think that's true.
because what it was trying to say, oh yeah, he needs to go do something in the arts because he can't count and he can barely write. But which is ironic the way it turned out. But yeah, so Yeah, I mean,
I think
I believed that though. I believed that, because they were all telling us, they were like, if you just apply yourself, and you work hard and you go to school and you stay out of trouble, anything is possible. You want to drive a race car? No problem. You want to be the next Stephen King? Just work at writing.
interesting. I don't think I had to take a test. I think we might have done it for like fun. I don't think it was done as like a legitimate thing, but I do remember taking one in high school that I personally just thought was interesting because it was a test to see if you used your right or left brain more.
Hmm.
Because one is obviously more logical and the other is more creative. And mine came back at 50-50. So
A little bit of
I
both.
was like, okay, this didn't help me at all. It didn't tell me anything about who I should be when I grow up because it basically said maybe the opposite of you. You're good at everything.
Yeah, no,
Um, which is not at all true, but I do use uh the logical side of my brain more in pretty much all aspects of my life.
I
So
do not.
maybe if I had taken it later, it would have told me to be a mathematician or something. Who knows? But
Mhm.
um,
Could you imagine that life? A life of a mathematician? No offense to any mathematicians out there. I just can't imagine that life.
I mean, I'm a data analyst now, so I'm not really that far removed from
Like,
what that life would be. It would just be a lot more research papers and, I don't know, predicting markets than my current job is. But um, so all right, so we've set the scene a little bit. We all want to be like a variety of things when we grow up. We're kind of told that anything is possible. What did you think? What was your just conception of the United States as a child? Like, what were you learning in school? What were they telling you about who you are as an American?
it's a really great question. I'm thinking back to some of my early like history lessons in class about who we were. I believed that ultimately we were the good guys. Most of that is because of my grandpa and like knowing that he fought in World War II and being interested in what that meant and then finding out that, we as Americans, okay, so I'll frame it not historically, I'll frame it as like how I believed it is that there was a really bad man in Germany and he was trying to take over the world and rule it. And Americans, with their heroicness and their Superman style way of needing to do good all the time and being the only ones in the room willing to, fight for truth, justice, and the American way. Obviously, America, with their might, goes over to Europe and they stop this man. And after that, we all agree that our way of life of freedom and everybody being able to do whoever they want to be, having the freedom to come here to this great, shining beacon on the hill and being able to do whatever it is that your dreams are. You can come here and be that person, no matter who you are, no matter what race you are, no matter what religion you are free to come to this land and stake a claim in who it is you want to be. And that is what I kind of felt like we were all living until I was in my 20s, maybe. Maybe even younger than that. But that is my frame of what I thought it meant to be an American. We had democracy, we had freedom, we had privileges, um, choice, opportunity. That's what I felt.
Okay. I can't say that's all that different from how I felt as a kid, but I think maybe because I grew up in the Northeast, it was a little bit more nuanced. We were taught, we spent maybe a more time in our curriculum on uh, history of slavery the history of indigenous people in the United States, history of uh, segregation, of fighting for various rights, voting rights, reproductive rights, whatever.
And we had that too, but I'll just say this real quick is that like we learned about the civil rights in school and we learned that the problem came from the South, that, the Southerners had slavery. Um, Southerners were a big block when it came to Southern rights. So we learned that we were the problem, but we also, with that, we we learned that it no longer existed, that it was fine. Like that happened. That's in the past. Everybody's good now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we went on a everybody's good now track. And um, it was more, all of that stuff happened. A lot of it is still a problem. Maybe not as big of a problem as it was, but like, um, there are pockets of the KKK out there. Neo Nazis still exist, which I can't believe that I learned that in high school and then it came back so hard in the future. Um,
I didn't even know that.
was
I felt like the neo-Nazi thing. Like I remember watching the movie Blues Brothers, and I remember they were running from neo Nazis in that movie. But even then, I thought that like KKK, neo Nazis, whatever that brand of craziness is, I thought that that was all in the past. I found out. I mean, I was kind of naively blown away when I heard that there were still pockets of, um, you know, Ku Klux Klan, neo Nazis. The Charlottesville rally, when I saw people marching down the street with Nazi flags, I was like, "Who the hell are these guys? Where did they come from?" Like, I
yeah.
don't, I don't know. I was so naive to that.
I mean, our teachers did go out of their way to try to give us a more maybe balanced view of America because, I mean, growing up in the North, there is definitely a bit of a superiority complex. We were on the right side of history a lot, according to the teachers. Um, but they, we weren't always. Again, indigenous rights still a huge problem in the
Hmm.
Northeast. I mean, just because they have casinos now doesn't mean their problems are solved. Um, there's, I feel like they tried really hard to give us like Howard Zinn wrote that like alternative history of the United States, people's history of the United States, which I think is sitting on a bookshelf behind me, and they tried to give us more examples of like history written not by the victors, of like history from other people's perspectives, so we'd have like a more grounded view of what the United States was. That being said, it was still like this is the best place to live in the world. We have freedom, democracy, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Um, we can do whatever we want. All things are possible here. You can be anything you want here. We're not, you know, restricted by religion. We're not restricted by really harsh policies. We're free to move and do and love as we so choose. And a lot of that was also due to what was, I think, happening socially, like in the late 90s and early 2000s. There were, and even in the late 2000s, like there were more movements like body positive movements. There was gay rights. There was beginnings of trans rights, which I worked on for a little bit. Um, there were a lot of like social movements happening when I was in middle school and high school that made me think like, wow, like the US is really on its way to being this like liberal utopia. And we've fallen quite far from that perception I had of what America was becoming. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately and thinking about maybe the moment that I realized that. I don't know if you have
What
a
was the
particular
moment?
moment in mind, but is there a moment looking back on it where you first realized like, well, this is not what I thought. The world is not the perception of it that I have in my head.
Yes. I have I have two kind of realizations, one stronger than the other. The first realization that America is way different than what I pictured it to be, what I wanted it to be, what I hoped it was. And the people living in it, the people that I knew, were way different than what I believed them to be when they were raising me and imparting their wisdom was Trump winning the election the first time. Um, that was when I was like, what have we done? What are we now? If we are okay with electing a man who has done the things that he's done, said the things that he said, making fun of, journalists who are mentally handicapped, things he said about women, the Access Hollywood tape. Um,
Sure.
at that time, I'm not even playing rules today. I'm playing 2016 rules, 2015 rules. Like if at that time we're okay with this, we're okay with the things he says about Hispanic people. We're okay with the things he says about our neighbors. We're okay with what he says about the media, people who disagree with him. If we're okay with all that, then what are we? What are we now? That was the first realization. The second
Let's
realization
let's
was
let's pause there for a
sure,
second, because I don't know what it was like for you, but I was in South Carolina when Trump was elected the first time,
I was in Raleigh.
and I was in Charleston, so it's a little blue dot in a big red state. But I had moved down there maybe actually, I think it was the year I moved down there. And I remember walking into work I worked in this huge office building. I worked for a huge tech company. And usually when you walk in, there's chatter, there's people laughing, there's people telling stories from the night before, there's like, people gossiping by the water cooler almost literally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People making plans for like lunch later in the day with their friends. There's usually just noise. I walked into that building and it was silent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking nobody was even moving. Like no one was getting coffee. No
There was a
one
state of
was getting up
shock.
from their desk.
Yeah.
It was like shell shock.
I had a very similar experience. Obviously, where I work, a little directly involved. Um, so I remember coming in that day. I remember riding all the way down, just coming in the commute, just had the radio off. Wasn't listening to the news, wasn't listening to music. I was just riding, just thinking like, and I remember then thinking like, okay, like this is reality, but I still want I want America to succeed. And I was trying to convince myself, like, in order for that to happen, Trump has to succeed. So I hope Trump can succeed. I hope that so we still didn't know what we were dealing with. So I was thinking, like, okay, he's said and done all these things, but when he gets into office, the power of the resolute desk, when he sits behind that desk and he realizes that from this spot, I am now responsible for every American. That's including the ones who didn't vote for me. I'm responsible for every American. And there's a weight, a power that comes with that of just, I mean, I know what I would probably be like behind it. I would be like a mess. I'd be like, oh my God, the responsibility of which I now have to take charge of. I was thinking it would change him. I was thinking he would come in, he would sit down. So I'm still thinking, riding down the road, like, maybe it's not gonna be that bad. Like, I want him
Mhm.
to succeed. Maybe he gets in there. He said all that stuff because he was campaigning. He wanted to be president. Now he is. Okay. So now he's got to be responsible for everybody, and he'll do a good job, and he'll surround himself with people who will give him good advice. turns out that that was wrong. But when I got to work, I remember like nobody was talking. It was silent. But then I also knew other people who were supportive and were extremely happy and were overjoyed and were a little sore winners a little bit. Nana Nana Boo Boo, I told you,
Yeah,
racism for me and you. Kind of
it was
like a little bit.
odd. It's been a minute since, I've looked at the what was going on in both of those campaigns. But I think a lot of people were so certain that he was going to lose
Absolutely.
that they didn't even go out and vote, one. Two, uh, it was like, no one who speaks this way about people, about women, about minorities, who treats people the way he treats people, who makes comments like, he could shoot somebody on the streets of New York and
Get away
he'd
with it.
still be fine.
Yeah.
That person is undeserving of an office that has such weight and responsibility to it. And then he was elected. And I just remember thinking, like, I don't know what this means,
Yeah.
but it means that the country I live in is not at all what I thought it was. There's,
That's what it felt like.
we're not moving towards that, like,
We're moving away from it.
we're not moving towards the liberal socialist even paradise that I thought we were going to. We're not moving towards healthcare for all. We're not moving towards more rights for people or more support networks for people. We're not moving towards uh, not just tolerance, but like acceptance of people who are gay, people who are trans, people who want to present themselves in whatever way they want to present themselves. We're not moving towards any of that. If anything, we're now in a massive rejection of all of that, and I like did not know what to make of it. And I'm still not sure that I know what to make of it, but certainly at that time I was
It wasn't even like for
confused
me.
and aggressively disappointed.
Yeah. It wasn't even like for me, like socialist paradise. Like I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking about like, we're just moving away from moral decency.
Mm.
We're just moral societal decency. We're getting away from it. We're setting a precedent that it's okay to be an asshole, that it's okay to like, you know, say hateful things to one another. And I think it comes, I don't know. I don't know if it was, I'd heard this before that it was like a lot of Trump said the things that a lot of people were like holding in or were wanting to say. And so I don't know, maybe there was pent up aggression that we weren't aware of because we're young, we're millennials, but our older generation, they had a lot of pent up aggression about something. And through him, they were able to live vicariously. And maybe that excited them. It turns out that like we growing up had this, I grew up watching Mr. Rogers. I mean, like
Well, that
I felt this way about life. I grew up reading Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman.
yeah.
I watched the X-Men, uh, Sesame Street, Rugrats. I mean, I grew up with these things. I just felt the world, maybe like the world to me looked one way, but to our parents' generation and maybe theirs, it was an entirely different thing of just this pent up aggression that they were just looking to unleash that we weren't aware of. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you've gotten this a lot, but I know one of my relatives in particular has blamed Obama for everything that's happened since Trump was
Yeah, I have
elected.
one of those. I have one of
And
those.
it's
I was told Obama
crazy
was the
to
most
me.
divisive president we've ever had.
Yeah, and the only reason
Sit
for
with
that
that
is
for a little
because
bit.
he's black. Uh, Obama was the best president we've had in my lifetime, bar none.
I was going to ask
And
you, I was actually going to ask you, do you think that's part of the deception? Do you think that deceived us a little bit? Because think about our worldview. Did it not feel like when he was elected president that things were moving in a line that, so do you think
Yeah,
that was a little bit of deception when it came to Trump? Of like, there's no, because of things like Obama electing a black president, having him, as president for 8 years. Do you think that aided some of the deception when it came to what we thought Trump was going to do? We're like, there's no way that can happen
I
because
do
we're
think
we're
so.
millennials with our thinking, and then we have Obama hit the stage.
Yeah. I think as a millennial, Obama was like the pinnacle of, well, you made it. We're on the
Hmm.
right track. We elected a black man as president. Like, this is
This is
amazing.
it.
America must be feeling the way that we're all feeling, which
It
is
only
like,
goes up from
we need
here.
to move in a new direction. No more old white men, no more policies that your parents thought were good ideas. Like, we're going to have new policies, we're going to have new ideas, we're going to get
It's a
things
new
like the
age.
ACA. And that's not to say that everything Obama did was great. I
No.
went out, I was protesting Obama. I was protesting the EPA at certain points
Yeah.
during his presidency because of things like mountaintop removal coal mining. Like, I was
He
out
wasn't
there
perfect. I didn't like
protesting.
the drone stuff.
Sure, I was out there protesting things that he was doing. I did not love everything Obama did, but he presented himself in a way that a president should. It was very clear that he thought he was doing the right thing for America when he made a decision or when he put a policy forward.
Hmm.
And
We haven't had that
I
since.
I don't think that's been the case, no,
No.
since.
Hot take. I don't know, but Obama was the last great president we had. He was the last presidential president we had.
Yes.
I mean, because Joe Biden, I mean, you barely saw that guy the entire
Yeah.
time. So, I mean, I don't even know if he even counts, but we haven't had a president like Obama since him. Like he was the last, such a great like speaker and could say the right things. Took time to think about them, think about who he was presenting himself as to us.
Put smart people around him in
Yeah,
positions of
got
power.
experts in their fields. We don't have that anymore. Was that the peak? Did we finally reach the top and now we're just going down the entire time? Was that the pinnacle? Was that as good as it's ever going? Is Barack Obama as good as it's ever going to get?
I really hope not. My, I just, I did not, and I still don't understand the backlash. And I wonder if the backlash was just the things that we've been talking about up to now, which is like, that was also around the time when social media misinformation got huge.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean,
like,
even before him though, I mean, like I remember when he was running for office, I went to a Southern Baptist church right here in my hometown, and I remember them telling me, in Sunday school, part of the curriculum was that he was the Antichrist. He was of the devil.
interesting.
Hmm. I think having a black man as well spoken and as sophisticated as he was become president, really broke some people's brains. Broke 'em. And maybe what happened after that was an overcorrection
I mean, it was
from their
definitely
part.
an overcorrection.
You know what I mean? You know how, speaking of race car, when you get loose and you go to overcorrect, but you overcorrect too much, what happens? You slam straight into the wall. Maybe
You
that's
go
what.
full Cletus in Daytona.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I think that's what it was. I think they went to correct to their what they thought that their world was, and they end up smashing the wall. The only thing is that after they smash the wall, they continue to drive around and they think they're still good. Um, but the car is like dragging pieces and it's smoking and tires are falling off of it. But they're like, "Hey, this is fine. This is good. This is what we wanted. We meant to do that." I think that's where we're at. Um, can I tell you the
What?
second? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
I
please.
was gonna tell you. Can I tell you the second thing that kind of like really stunned me? I think. So setting the stage, Trump wins the election in 2016. We go through all of that, like we go through COVID. Okay. But meanwhile, Trump's doing all these things, and people still just can't seem to wake up to it. They can't see the same things that I see. They can't understand the problems the way that maybe you and I saw it. And I can't seem to I'm beating my head against the wall, and I can't understand why they are okay with the things that he's done and the things that he did during that presidency. Um why they can't see it the same way, why they're excited about it. But then we get to January 6th. And I remember just sitting there that day listening to that speech that he gave and thinking something bad's going to happen. Like it was so ominous. And we're in a meeting and someone comes over the line and is like, we got to stop the meeting because something's going on. And I switch over to the news and I see that they are storming the Capitol and
Yeah.
they're breaking their windows and they're tearing down the doors and they're screaming, hang Mike Pence. And Secret Service is ushering congressmen and senators out of the rooms and they're trying to get them to secure locations, and there's Trump flags and MAGA flags going through the Capitol destroying stuff. And I said, this is it. This is going to be the thing. This is what will finally wake people up. Your average conservative is going to look at this and say, this is not America. This is the worst that America has ever looked. This is not who we are. This has gone too far. And to Lindsey Graham, I think, even said something like that. He was like, I'm out. This is it for me. Like, I'm done. Like, and I'm like, finally, what did it take for these people to see that this was a problem? It took destroying the Capitol, but we got there. The next morning, I open up my phone and there's already people who I know are Trump supporters who I still followed, who I still thought were friends, and they're saying like, "That wasn't a big deal." In fact, that didn't even happen. Those people were ushered in, they were let in. They beat up police officers. Not a police officer died. Nope, didn't happen. Did not happen the way you saw it on television.
Fake news.
Fake news. They were patriots. They were set up. All this stuff, and I'm just like aghast because I'm like, what are you talking about? This is okay now? This is okay behavior? They stormed the people's house. They put shit on the walls. The Confederate Army didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, that was the second moment for me that I was like, America is not what I thought it was. The country I'm living in is not what I thought it was.
There are a few moments. I mean, as millennials, we've lived through quite a lot. Y2K, 9/11, a pandemic, the 2008 financial crisis, uh, going to Iraq and Afghanistan. Now we're in Iran. Uh, we lived through a lot of things, but of all of those things, the two that stand out that I remember where I was are 9/11.
Mm,
I was in Miss Fisher's science class, and I remember, I remember somebody called me on the phone because I had a relative who was like on the Hudson, and so they wanted to tell me that that person was okay. But um, I remember like the teachers not really knowing what to do with that
mm-hmm,
info and being like, something's happening and we're going to send you all home so that your parents can discuss it with you because like we don't have the talk track for this. Like we don't know what to say.
mm-hmm.
Um there's been, I'm not even sure that they went as far as to say there's been an attack, and we didn't have social media the way we
Yeah,
do now. So
you
like
can't find
it
out.
wasn't
Yeah.
really getting out. Everybody was just like, what's going on? Um but I remember going home. I think my mom picked me up, and then I remember I had a team meeting on the morning of January 6th, and was basically like, I don't know if you all know what's happening in the Capitol right now, but I do. I'm not sure how to process this information. Uh, so if you all need to log off your computers for the rest of the day, do it because
Mm-hmm.
I'll be here. I'll answer any work questions that come up, but like I don't know what to do with what I am seeing. And I just kind of sat there and watched the news and did not know how to process that. I'm pretty sure I cried at some point. It Watching people destroy a landmark like that, that again is supposed to stand for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and the American dream. I was not prepared for that
I didn't
emotionally,
think it
and
was
I still don't
possible.
know what to do with it, and I still don't understand the people who believe that what they were doing that day was patriotic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was blown away. Like, I remember, like you, I remember where I was on 9/11, and I remember where I was on January 6th. The two are succinct for me. Like, I remember, 9/11, Mr. Pennington's woodworking class just coming back from lunch and them telling us something has happened. Um, we're going to be sending you guys home. Again, like you, they didn't go into details. They probably didn't have the details. They did not have the talking points. They didn't know what to say. They were just as blown away as we were. They could
Yeah.
offer nothing. Um, and I remember the feeling of like, because they didn't tell us anything, but because we were being sent home, and maybe it was different for you because you're closer to New York than North Carolina is. But we were like, oh crap, we're getting sent home for the day. How awesome is that? This is cool. What
There
a
was definitely some of that.
what a pleasant surprise. And then you learn more about what's going on, and the next thing you know, that elation is gone, and you're a little freaked out, and you're a little unsure, and you're scared, and you're not sure what this means. Um, but January 6th, I'm an adult, been through some things already, and I'm sitting in a meeting, and like I said, they got off the meeting. It was a little bigger deal where I was just because of the situation I won't go into, but we were pretty involved, and they're like, "We need to stop this right now. Something's going on at the Capitol," and they end it. And it was just me and one other person were left on the call, and I pull up CNN, and I share my screen on the virtual event, and we sat there in complete silence just watching this, and I was like, I can remember thinking like, what am I seeing? Like, what are they doing? They're attacking the Capitol. They're smashing the windows. They're trying to get the vice president. I was like, as information came out, it just became more unreal. But I remember just thinking, well, this is it. This is it. This is rock bottom. We have reached the bottom. We can go no lower. We will heal from here. We will understand that what we did, like people they will finally wake up. They will finally see. Because how else could you watch people destroy something like that? Which is a symbol. That building is a symbol to us as a country. How else could you watch people do that and not think that things were going to be different?
Well, and I know you and I have talked about this, but and I did not feel that way. I thought like, damn, we've lost our way.
So this was the
I
one time where
wonder,
I was actually optimistic.
you were
Because
more
I'm usually
optimistic than
pessimist.
me.
Yeah, because I'm usually the pessimist when it comes to things. But I watched that and I was literally like, well, okay, these idiots have found the bottom, and now they will take a moment, they will reflect, and they will be like, didn't sign up for this. This ain't America. What happened today was not American. We apologize for everything. We're gonna we're gonna turn things around. Donald Trump's going to prison. We'll never have to hear from that son of a bitch ever again. And
No, and in my mind, and especially in the days after when I too did see things like people were already fighting about like, "It was patriotic." Uh, I thought more like, "Is this the first step to a civil war?" Like, what's happening right
I
now?
thought it was, yeah. I was
I
like those people. I love history, so I'm like those people who, when the Civil War started in 1861, and they went to Manassas to fight the first Battle of Bull Run, people showed up with picnic baskets and lunch, and they had cookouts because they wanted to watch the one and only fight that would take place. I
mm,
was those people. I was the one sitting there being like, "Well, all that the Civil War will be. There will be the one, they will end it. You know, everybody will be like, man, we really let ourselves go there. We need to, we're sorry.
we need to
Um,
shape up and fly right.
Cooler
Yeah.
heads will prevail at the end of the day. People will see that this whole Trump thing, this whole MAGA thing was a mistake. Um, this is not who we are as a country. And we see that now. We're sorry. And boy, was I wrong. I was a very, very wrong, especially because like, you know, I'd read that people saying that like it didn't happen that way, but it was another thing when you're sitting across from a family member of yours at like a restaurant, and she's like, "That wasn't what happened at all. Like they were let in. They were peaceful protesting. It wasn't what you saw on the what you saw with your own eyes on the news wasn't real." That's another thing when you're just like, okay, all right, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, we might talk about that and MAGA more specifically on a future podcast, but I think our thoughts on that are probably too large and too long to go into
Well, for sure. We don't have the
at this
time.
point.
We don't have the
But
time.
I guess to wrap up, like if you are looking around at America right now, as opposed to when you were a kid, where do you think we are now? Where do you think we're headed? Are you still optimistic about
No,
the
no,
future
we're
of
good.
America?
The country is very different than. So this, I want to say this to. I know we probably don't have any like young listeners, but you know, I remember what it was like for me growing up in the '90s. And what my view of America was, and where we were heading as a country, and how safe I felt, and how safe it felt. Um, Knowing who we were, believing in who we were. We are not anywhere near what I thought we would be at 37 years old versus 7 years old. We are nowhere near. We're in the opposite direction. We are in the darkest timeline. Things are horrible. I don't see them getting any better. Um, I say this because I don't know what what a 7 year old right now thinks of the world. You know, when I was 7 years old, I was, like I said, I was reading Superman. I was watching Saturday morning cartoons with the X-Men. I don't know. I believed, I still had dreams and I had beliefs and things that I wanted to do. I don't know what a 7 year old thinks now. I don't know what their perception of the world is, or what they think the world should be or is going to be. I'd be curious to find out. But I don't think we're going anywhere good. It's gone so far off the mark. I just don't see it coming back the other way. Because if we can't, because if we can't agree on things like what happened on January 6th, if we can't agree that that was a bad point in this country's history for the reasons that it was, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do with that.
Maybe, but since you are a student of history, I would imagine people felt like that at different points in our history.
Hmm.
That we were in the darkest timeline. We had gone so far afield of the dream, whether it was uh, restricting a particular portion of the population's rights, or fighting amongst ourselves. I'm sure that there were points in history where we thought we are irredeemable right
Yeah, I'm
now.
sure they
We are
felt that
not
way.
coming back.
I'm sure they felt that way during the first Civil War.
I'm maybe a little bit more optimistic that we can correct, but we are so divided, and I don't, and we'll get into this probably on a future episode too. My problem with the Democratic Party right now is that uh, they're fighting amongst themselves on whether or not we should be the candidates out there going, you know, we're going to get some heads when we get into office. We're going to,
Mm,
right the ship and people are going to pay. Or the normal Democratic line of we just want to bring people together.
not
We
this
want to
time.
just forget the past
Ugh,
and move on.
I know it's so
Um,
frustrating. Not this time,
it
though.
no.
Heads
Uh,
gotta roll.
but there does need to be if we're ever going to come back together as one set of United States and not, a fractured set in the future. Um, someone's going to have to on both sides start behaving like we used to,
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, our version of politics in the 90s, especially in the early 2000s, was more, yeah, we fundamentally disagree on how certain problems can be resolved, but we agree that there is a problem. And now we can't even agree that there is a problem.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the problem.
if we
We
can
have
get
to.
back to a place where we can agree that there is, in fact, a problem, I would be much more optimistic that we could fix it, that we could like right the ship and be better. But at the moment, I don't see a lot of that or
Mm-hmm.
any of that coming from anywhere. So I think, like you, I'm a little bit more pessimistic than I usually am on this particular topic, but I would really like to see some maturity, some morality, and
Morality
some
would be nice.
dignity
Dignity
back
would be
in
nice. These are good words.
politics
I would too.
in the United States.
I would too.
And just in the way that normal humans treat each other, because I think we've also run pretty far afield of that.
And accountability. I think accountability is another.
Yeah.
We need that too. Yeah. We need people
Accountability,
to own up to.
responsibility.
Yeah, we need people to start owning up to some things. I think. Oh boy, did we spiral.
We did. Yeah. All right. Well, that got a little heavy.
Are you feeling
But
mildly
before
alarmed
we
now?
let everybody go, there are some pockets of joy out there that we like to explore to keep the anxiety and depression from spiraling out of control. Justin, what brought you joy this week?
So my pockets of joy, were getting to obviously ride in a race car. That was a big joyful moment for me because I was a dream come true. And now today, or whenever I watch racing now or play my racing game, I will have that just kind of in my mind. Of what that was like. So that was a huge pocket of joy, that I was able to live that experience. The other big pocket of joy for me lately, other than playing Animal Crossing on my own Switch, is finally joining that after years, is the Mario Galaxy movie coming out. Very excited for this film. I love the
Yes.
first one. The first one is probably one of my favorite movies. Could watch it anytime. Much better than the one made in the 90s. And for the three people out there who've seen that movie are laughing right now. But yeah, there was I'm looking forward to this one. Love that Yoshi's gonna be in it, and I love that Brie Larson's finally getting her dream of playing Rosalina or being in this movie. Did you hear the story that she kicked out her boyfriend playing that game because he was like, "You're taking this way too seriously," and she was like, "Get out, out." I love that story. She's a huge gamer, so I love that story. So yeah, looking forward to the second one. You know, Yoshi being in it and all the stuff that they've, you know, it looks really good, and we're seeing it on Wednesday. So it'd be tomorrow when this show comes out. So yeah, I think I'm really excited about that. That's brought me a pocket of joy. It's just that the new Super Mario movie's here. What's your pocket of joys?
I mean, that's a good one. I'm very excited to see that movie on Wednesday. Yoshi is my favorite character in that universe, so
Absolutely.
having Yoshi in a movie is exciting. My real pocket of joy, though, because I am a super nerd when it comes to this, is that BTS is back
Oh, that's
and
right. New album.
they have a new album. They had a Netflix live performance. They have a new documentary on Netflix. It is all things BTS are back, and I am very excited about that. Um, you know, we listen to a lot of artists and a lot of genres of music. BTS is maybe one of the few that I feel like put some serious thought into how they present themselves and what they want their legacy and their fan experience to be. And they try really hard to be kind and optimistic and thoughtful and put some positivity out into the world. And we definitely need more of that. So very excited to have them back. A little sad that scalpers bought up all the tickets, so I will
Mm.
probably not see them live.
Right.
But I'm sure they'll put out some kind of Netflix special of this tour, and I'll get to watch that. Um, but in the meantime, I'm enjoying watching the flood of YouTube videos and other things from various entertainment outlets that are all things BTS because they have been gone and in the army for several years now. So
Yeah,
it's
they're
nice
back.
to have them back. And the new album is a banger, so that
Mm.
helps.
It is good. We listened to a lot of it in the car on the way to Charlotte, and there's some good ones on there, some good bops on there. If I know you told me the other day at breakfast that they are interested in playing the Super Bowl, and I have no power, but I just want to put out there, like, if anyone is listening and would like to see BTS in the Super Bowl, we need to find a way to make this happen because I think that would be a very good show, and I think if we could get enough voices to the NFL, I think BTS would make for a good halftime show, and it would continue to piss off um, conservatives, which is also fun and
Super bonus.
is a pastime of mine. So I think this is what we need. We need this right now. We need BTS playing the Super Bowl. What a show that would be! Because listen, folks, I don't know much about BTS, but I have been forced to watch all these concerts, and they're really good. They are really good. They're fun shows. It would be a fun show, no doubt.
It would be a great show.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really hope ARMY, which is what BTS calls their fans, I hope that ARMY can come together and somehow annoy the NFL enough into making that
making this
happen.
happen. Yeah,
Although, given that they already gave us Bad Bunny last year and that show was amazing, um, I'm really hoping that we can get a BTS show
keep it
too.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we gotta go watch a race this afternoon. You got any predictions? Denny Hamlin's on the
Yes,
pole.
Hamlin's on the pole. Toyota continues to be super strong. It's Martinsville. It's flat. It's short. The paperclip, that bodes well for Team Penske drivers. Logano's had a good qualifying effort. I don't know, something about this year just with the 22, but Brian Blaney is always a pick for Martinsville. We've seen him do some crazy stuff at Martinsville. His car, they talk about it every year. There's some way his car rotates the center better than everyone else's. Uh, so he is able to make passes. Yeah, I'm thinking Toyota is going to be strong again. This track suits Denny Hamlin. He's won here a bunch of times. This is one of his favorite places to race. Bubba Wallace is also really good here, so Bubba can stay out of trouble. I would really love to see the 23 win the race just
Yeah.
to match Reddick's success and keep the 23 train and 2311 train going. But I think it's going to come down to Hamlin and Blaney. Those would
Those are
be
good
safe picks for
predictions.
me.
Yeah. I mean, Blaney does have a lot of clocks.
He
So,
does. He's starting a little further back, but when has that ever stopped him before?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
Blaney could start 38th and he'd still make it to first by the end of pretty
yeah.
much any
Well,
race.
he's come from last, if my history's right, I think he's come from last to first before to win this race to lock himself in to the year that he eventually won the championship. So, um, I mean, dude's crazy. Dude's crazy behind the wheel of a car. I think Hendrick's troubles are going to continue. So I don't think we're going to see much out of the Hendricks today. Um, maybe Byron, maybe Byron has a good chance. He's pretty good at Martinsville. So if Hendrick was going to do anything, it probably would come from the 24.
Last pocket of joy for today. We've got the old rivalry back. Duke versus Yukon happens. I'm
That's
pretty sure
right.
tonight, and I am pumped about it. Uh, it's a little
UConn in
complicated
the
for
Elite
me,
Eight.
obviously, because we were rooting for Duke the other night because we don't like St. John's. But now, home team's
Yeah.
going to play Duke. So
Crazy games the other night when we were in the hotel watching that. Duke St. John almost beating the number one seed. And I was like, another number one seed's going to go down and join the bottom of Florida. And then that night I fell asleep. I couldn't hang on, but you stayed up and watched Michigan State and UConn, and that was another nail biter. Two very close games, but I'm super happy to see UConn in the Elite Eight. I'm a UConn fan, obviously want them to win it all, but I don't think I had any bracket where they were in the Elite Eight.
neither did I.
And that's on
And
me, dude. That's
I'm a
on me.
super UConn fan. I've been a fan since I was like 3,
I
and I
know.
still thought they were going out last game.
Can they pull this off? Can they beat Duke? Can they go and beat whoever else they've got to beat to win? I don't know. Tonight's going to be a
I
good.
don't know who's
Tonight's
going
going
to
to be
win, but I just hope that it is close. I want to see like an exciting game. I want to see everybody just like leave it all on the court.
good.
That's what I want.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's it for us today. As always, please give us a like or subscribe if you enjoyed the show and drop us a comment. Tell us how you feel about the state of America if you want to get into it and you want to spiral with us, or tell us what's bringing you joy this week because we would love to hear it.
We'd love to hear that.
Thanks for watching the show, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Take it easy.